Hey, good morning, everybody on YouTube. And I wanted to say that we have some exciting news. Coming this January, we will have once again some new content in addition to market stats. I know how much you guys love market stats, and it's been busy. So it's been great for me to just pop on when I can, but I wanted to make sure I kept feeding you guys with more content. So, in addition to our monthly market stats, I'm looking to do at least one more a month and so that I can give you some more content. So if you're watching this live or if you're watching this after, let me know what it is that you want to hear about. Do you want to hear about new builds? Do you want to hear about the neighborhoods in Edmonton? Do you want to hear about cost of living? What is it that you would like to hear? I've done a lot of videos in the past and I don't want to repeat them, but I think sometimes the good ones need to be updated. So, for example, I talked about the cost of living, but that's changed. If you're getting that information somewhere else, that's fine too. So just I wanted to hear from you guys. What is the content you want to talk about, hear me talk about? And of course, we're going to talk about the market stats today. So I will talk about this new content here in a little bit as well. Let's talk about the new listings in Edmonton. The Edmonton single family home listings are dropping every single week, and that's no different than this week. It is the beginning of December. It's actually my kid's birthday, 17 years old. And it is crazy because the market is so low. Like, I don't think it's going to get down to 1,000 listings, but it's at 1,700. It's pretty low. We tend to see the uptick probably in a couple months. So I'm wondering how low it's going to go before we start to come back up and start to see an increase. But definitely this time of year, we're seeing people pull their house off the market. Christmas is really busy. If the houses are on the market still, there's usually a reason for it. Houses are still moving. We are still involved with multiple offers. I helped a buyer win a multiple offer, and it's not impossible to do that. It's just the market right now. It's just kind of a little crazy. Um, if you put a house on the market thinking, oh, well, this time a couple months ago, this is what things sold for, and you're pricing it there, that's a little ambitious. I saw one of these Quarter Queens bench sales sell for a ridiculous amount of money at the end of August, and it's back on the market now because the deal didn't complete. As in, the buyers didn't actually like fund it for they walked away. So that house is back on the market, and they've listed it way higher than what it was listed originally. And to do that and be that aggressive at the beginning of December is a little crazy, in my opinion. But what do I know? The market will start to shift again, I think, end of January, February. Again, this is weird, but market does depend on weather. If it's like freezing for all of January and February, it takes a little bit longer for things to warm up, literally speaking. And if you take a look at the surrounding areas in St. Albert, Sherwood Park, and Spruce Grove, those are not a huge influx in terms of listings changing. It is harder to get into Sherwood Park. You can see that the inventory is lower anyways there. And in the St. Albert and Spruce Grove areas, you also have a little bit more, but it's just the area. It's that nothing here is abnormal. This trend is normal to go down. In January, we will be finding out from all these like powers that be that are going to predict what's going to happen for next year. And I'll give you my prediction on my market stats video that I put out in about a week or so in the monthly market stats. If you tune into that, then you'll see what my stance on that is. Now, pending deals. If you haven't been here before, pending means when a buyer puts an offer on a listing and the listing selling side, they've come to agreement on both sides. Now they have an offer that is now pending. It is not complete because there's conditions. If the offer had no conditions, it would just gone straight to sold. So pending is when the deal is now in the buyer's control. The buyer has the right to either remove conditions or non-waive, which is walk away without losing anything and without penalty. This is the period that they get to do their due diligence. And if you are not yet writing an offer, you don't have control yet. The seller still has control. They can have four offers. They can take another offer. They can do whatever they want before it goes pending. Once it goes pending, it is now in the buyer's hands to be able to make that decision. And we saw less sales or pending sales this last week in Edmonton for single family homes, which is no big surprise because now when you buy a house, you can still move quickly and get in before Christmas, but typically we're seeing possession now in January and further. That being said, we have one possession for right before Christmas and then one for after Christmas. There is a time in our market between, let's say, the December 23rd is a Monday. So from the 23rd to the 27th, it's pretty much a write off. I would not recommend that you put dates there because lawyers and banks are involved, and those are usually closed and not operating at full capacity. And it's not just your lawyer that has to work, it's the other side's lawyer that also has to work, and it's the bank. So there's a lot of variables that you can't control that could potentially put you, it's a lot more stressful to move in that period of time. Even the 30th and 31st is a little sketchy just because everyone's coming back or they've continued to take that time off because of New Year's. That tends to not be as busy, but to be the safest is the following week when all the kids go back to school. So I know that you're like, well, I would rather move beforehand, but there's a lot of factors to take into consideration when you're figuring out your possession date. If you take a look at the sold in Edmonton for single family homes in the last 7 days, you can see that this is 181 versus 192 the week before. And that's just deals that are coming. So just because the deals were pending doesn't mean they go straight to sold. Some of them get non-waived and some of them do get waived. So it just all depends in that regards. Now let's take a look at last year at this time. This number is always very interesting because our market last year was very different than this year. This year kind of came in way stronger than I think a lot of us expected. We knew it was going to be strong, but I didn't think I was going to see this kind of increase. When we looked at the market, and we'll do this in a minute here, when you were looking and to buy a house last year and then you're buying a house this year, the prices have changed a lot. And why do the prices change? Did the value all of a sudden just change? How does that same house have a higher value the next year? Well, it's about demand. And if you can take a look, we had 181 sold this last 7 days compared to 175 last year at this time. Not a huge difference, but we started to see this equalization probably in the last few months. If you've been following me week to week, you can see that the numbers from last year to this year like kind of started to become very similar. Now, when we go into January, you're going to see, I think, a contrast, but we don't know. The prediction last year was that the market was going to increase about, I think they said 10 to 12%. And I'm thinking like 8 to 10% is like already aggressive because Edmonton doesn't tend to move that high when it comes to price point. But I think when it's all is said and done, it is going to actually probably be at the 10% mark. And again, in my market stats video that I'm filming, we will talk about that overall stat to see because it will be for the month of November. But month of November, you got 11 of the 12 months of stats in. We can kind of figure out those totals and kind of chat with you about that kind of total. Now, what I want to do is show you the thing about, I wanted to show you Rosenthal. So if you're looking at Rosenthal and you're looking at active listings, you're going to see these price points. You're also going to see these are days on market on the side here, the 950, 385. So why are the market, if the market's moving so fast, Melody, why on earth are the days on market so high? Well, because some of these could be builder listings. And so sometimes they list them way before they're ready, or else their pricing is really aggressive and it's hard to compare a new build price to a resale home. We are at that stage where the resale is a little bit more value for your money than the new. Before 2020, it was actually more value to buy new than it was to buy resale. But now we don't see that. So it doesn't seem to move when you have the two compared together. Now, there's a lot of people who look at new homes and don't even look at resale. And it's like two different separate markets. And when you try to merge them together, which is what I like to do with my clients to give you more options, it's harder for people to grab their head around it. They have to really be okay with spending more money to buy the brand new house that's never been touched, that has warranty but needs work in the like you have to put the yard in, you have to do the deck and the window coverings. There's a lot of extra add-ons, but you still get new. So there is that threshold. And in Rosenthal, there's still a lot of new homes available. Rosenthal's land is starting to become almost completed with homes. So I would say in the next year or two, if even, the land is going to be fully developed and there will be no more brand new houses for sale, and it will just be mostly resale. Secord has a little bit more land still. Now they're older, they started before Rosenthal, but it's a bigger mass of land than Rosenthal. And in Rosenthal, you can see that you start from 367 all the way up into the 800 price point, and you can see that these Prices are in the like some of these, I don't think any of these are the estate lots. This bottom one might be. I don't think it is. But yeah, there's different homes. You can see there's like a lot of these open to above layouts. That's just a trend that we've seen for probably now 4 years, of this open to above in the back in these homes. But you can see that the price points here in Rosenthal, these are the active homes. Now, if we take a quick look at the sold properties, you'll see that the sold properties are going to be a little bit more telling. And I'm going to go back probably, let's see, it's December right now. So let's go back 2 months, 60 days. If you go back too far, it's not reflective of the market anymore. So we've had 20 properties sell in Rosenthal in the last 60 days. And let's take a look here. You can see they sold from 344 all the way to 635 was the sold price. So you can see here that though there's a list price all the way to 833, that's an outlier. The majority of homes that are being sold, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 homes are sold out of 20 in Rosenthal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So about half of the homes are over 500,000, and the other half are under 500,000. And it really depends. Like this home is a half duplex, and that sold for 522. This is also half duplex. So these are half duplexes with double attached garages. You don't see half duplexes a whole lot in these new neighborhoods anymore. They rather put in 4 of those townhouses instead. So it is kind of crazy when you see that, because that's pretty expensive. To give you context, these half duplexes that are selling for 490 and 522, these used to be like 420 to 450. Only like I want to say 4 years ago, if I'm correct. So it's kind of nuts. And even last year at this time, I don't believe I think we were in the 470s, 480s for these price points. So it has definitely risen. And then even these homes here that were zeros, at one point, these were in the lower fives. And you can see them rising, rising, rising. I think the highest price point used to be like at 600 was a threshold. And now you're seeing the thresholds at like 635. So definitely these are going to have different things. For example, like finished basements and air conditioning and size of lot. That's all going to play into the Rosenthal, like not Rosenthal, but all of the homes that are selling and what they sell for. Now, if you're just tuning in and wondering what the market's doing for different neighborhoods, please put a comment, even if you're watching after I'm live, because I do look at those comments and then I can figure out what we're going to film in the new year as we add to the market stats that I film every month. We're going to add one more. I don't want to promise any more than one more of something that would be valuable to you. I think that the best neighborhoods in Edmonton was one of the more popular ones. Edmonton versus Calgary was a big one. And so I could take a look at that again if there is interest. I know that a lot of people have been moving their ideas of moving from Calgary to Edmonton. And maybe that's a great start video of like, why are homes $200,000 different in Edmonton versus Calgary, and Edmonton's more affordable? What's that all about? If that's of interest to you, like that, and we will make sure to make that video so that you can kind of take a look at the comparisons. There's obviously pros and cons to living in either city. Right now in December, both of us have snow. It is cold. I don't know why I live here. I'm born here and I've stayed here. I did consider moving to Calgary and Vancouver at one point, but Vancouver I considered moving to like 20 some years ago when the market in real estate was completely different. So I know there's a lot of you that watch from BC and from Ontario in terms of all these things and considerations of coming. And I have talked to some people who've moved here from BC and they're like, what is this? This is so cold. And I'm like, this isn't even the coldest. The coldest starts in January, February. Granted, I think we had a pretty cold November. Typically, November is not as cold, but you see people take off for Mexico already, and that is the sign. So if you come to Edmonton, you have the extra money to go to Mexico for those trips versus buying in Calgary. So that's something to consider. So again, thank you so much for watching me every week. It means a lot to me and my family that you're watching. And if you have any questions and you want to talk about real estate, I've got a whole team to help support these real estate purchases and selling that you are looking to engage in here in Edmonton. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you next week.